Hello and welcome to this gentle yoga practice with me, Sophie Rey. This particular sequence is inspired by spring. So we are currently in March and we are very slowly heading towards the spring equinox, and I'm very excited. I love spring and I love this time of year. So this practice is about easing you out of winter. Think of it as a bit of an energizing spring clean. So we're going to be building up a little bit of heat, which can link to our solar plexus, so the fire element, giving us a little bit of a boost in confidence and trying to burn away some stagnant winter energy. So you might want a yoga mat and a couple of blocks, a blanket, and I'm going to be giving some options for a chair. So if you'd prefer to practice using a chair, then grab one of those. Make sure that it hasn't got any sides to it and make sure that it is nice and sturdy. So make sure that you're wearing something nice and comfortable and loose, and let's get started. So if you're starting lying down, join me on the floor with a block next to you. We're going to start in a supported bridge. So come to lie down, bend your knees, plant your feet to the floor and lift your hips just enough so that you can slide your block underneath your pelvis. So it's resting just underneath your sacrum, and your pelvis is almost like a bowl resting on top of the block, and I recommend having the block on the lowest point. You can always add an extra block if you want to lift your hips a little bit higher, promoting a little bit more flexibility in the spine, opening up through the front of your body and across your chest. And this is also a restorative posture. So take a moment to settle in. If you're on the chair, have your feet planted to the floor, nestle your sit bones down into the chair and then find a little lift through the crown of your head. You might want your arms down by the sides of your body if you're on the floor, palms facing up. And if this feels uncomfortable in any way, then please feel free to move the block out to one side and allow your back to rest to the floor. You might let your knees knock in towards each other in constructive rest. If you're in the supported bridge, let your knees be separated. Allow your pelvis to be heavy. And let's take a few moments to arrive. Start to close your eyes or soften your gaze and really invite your body to land in the space, land in this position, and allow your body to feel heavy. Let the support underneath you really hold you. And notice if there's anywhere that you are tensing or gripping, and see if you can find a little softness in those areas with each exhale. Maybe taking a breath into those areas that feel tense and tight. Letting it out with a long sigh, either out through your nose or your mouth. And just seeing if you can find a little more softness. And it's okay if tension doesn't go away completely. You might feel like you need to make some adjustments. Taking a few more deep sighing breaths. As you notice how it feels to let your body rest. It's this slow journey towards spring. This little awakening. Just like nature, it takes its time, here in the UK anyway. So we can take our time too. There's no rush. Take a moment to check in, noticing how you're feeling. If you are feeling really tired and sluggish, then please do honour that. There might be moments in the practice where it feels a little too intense, so you can always ease off, you can pause, you can rest whenever you need to. I invite you to scan through your body and perhaps notice if there are any areas that feel sluggish and tired. And maybe send a little love to those areas. And as you move through the practice today, I invite you to notice if those areas of sluggishness, if they shift, if they move, if they release, or if they stay with you. No judgment, just acknowledging as best you can with love and compassion. Let's start to breathe in and out through the nose if that feels available today. Start to invite your inhales to become a little bit deeper. And lengthen out your exhales. And we'll take around 10 more breaths here. If you want to, you can set an intention. I am nourishing my body, mind and soul as I enter this new season. You might like to count your breath down, or just focus on the in and out flow of your breath. Start to press down through your feet. Maybe lift your toes and spread them and then place them back down. And very slowly start to lift your hips just enough so that you can slide the block out from underneath you. And then roll your spine all the way back down. Allow it to land on the earth. And take a moment to notice how it feels to go from that slight inversion to your back resting on the floor. On your next inhale, start to tilt your pelvis forward, arch into your low back. Find a little contraction in the low back muscles, and then exhale to gently flatten your low back down. Hug your low belly in. Inhale to arch into your low back, and exhale to gently flatten the low back down. And let's keep it going with these pelvic tilts. Inhale to arch into the low back, and exhale to gently flatten and release the low back muscles. So easing out any discomfort that you might have felt from that supported bridge. Now, if you're finding discomfort or niggles or pain when you're in any position, then feel free to come out of it earlier. Don't feel like you have to wait for me to say. It's really taking leadership and ownership of your body and moving with your own intuition. Really slow these movements down. See if you can sync breath and movement. We'll just take a few more of these pelvic tilts. Before bringing your pelvis back to neutral, and we'll bring the knees up to the chest one at a time. Give your knees a hug in towards you. You could have one hand on each knee. You could take your knees wide and gently rock from side to side. And you could take your knees in circles in one direction and then the other. Again, easing out any discomfort in the low back. I'm feeling quite niggly in my low back today, so just noticing what it is that I need. Place your feet down to the floor, taking your arms out a little bit wider, and we're just going to gently drop the knees down to the right side and roll the head to the left. Allow your body to feel heavy. Take a breath in here, let it out with a sigh, and allow your legs to feel heavy. And then let's inhale back to center and exhale, knees to the left, head over to the right, and just readjusting as you need. Taking a few deep sighing breaths here. And then inhaling back to center and readjusting. Bring your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers, and very gently press your low back into the floor. We're not smushing it down, we're just finding that little length in the low back, and then a little hug of your low belly, and you might feel a lift of your pelvic floor. Really nestle the head into the hands. Take a breath in, press to your feet and your low back, and on your exhale, peel your head and shoulders away from the floor as you curl up. Imagine you're trying to lift your shoulder blades away from the floor. Let's inhale to lower back down. Nice deep breath in. Exhale as you peel your head and shoulders away from the floor. Let's keep it going. Inhale to lower down. Exhale to peel up. Let's lower back down. Release your hands from behind your head. Give your knees a swish from side to side. If you are in the chair, make sure that you are sitting quite far forward. Bring your hands behind your head and interlace your fingers, so just like you would do if you were on the floor. Really plant your feet firmly to the floor. If this feels quite unstable, you can always hold on to the bottom of the chair, or you can reach your arms forward, but try and avoid really rounding and slouching through your back. Root down to your sit bones. Find a lift through the crown of your head and gently draw your shoulders back so you're broadening across your chest. Start to lean back and just notice that bracing in your stomach, hugging your low belly in. Breathe here. And then come all the way up and lean it forward. Keep that bracing in your core. Lean it back. And coming all the way up. Keeping length in your spine. You can play around with your arms and just see what works best for you. So it's a bit like a sit-up, a little bit different to when you're on the floor, because you'll feel the bracing in your core as you lean back, whereas when you're on the floor, as you sit up, you've got the bracing there. Okay, so take a few more of those. And then come all the way back to a neutral position, still sitting forward on the chair just so that you've got plenty of space. in your hips. Extend your right leg out in front. If you're on the floor, reach your toes up towards the ceiling. Now you can always hold on to the back of your thigh here. You can always have a blanket or a strap or something around your thigh just to help keep it lifted. And we're just going to wiggle into the right toes. See if you can wiggle without moving your ankle and without moving your knee. So just your toes. See if you can wiggle just your little toe. Second toe in. It's really hard. Third toe in. Yeah, all the toes just want to get involved. Fourth toe in. And big toe. If it really hurts, if you're sat on the chair and it's hurting your hip to keep your leg lifted, then let your foot rest down to the floor. So once you've wiggled your toes, we're going to point the toes up towards the ceiling. See if you can press out through the ball of your big toe. Imagine you're trying to reach your big toe up towards the ceiling, and we're stretching across the top of the foot. If you're on the chair, you're extending your leg out in front of you. And then let's draw the toes back down towards us. Inhale to reach your toes up, point your toes. Exhale as you draw your toes back down. Let's take a few more. And then bringing your foot back to stillness and start to rotate through your ankle. Take it slow. Take it in the opposite direction. And then bringing your foot back to stillness, and we're going to bend and extend through the knee. Inhale to really extend through the back of the knee, and then exhale to let the heel drop down towards your bum. Let's take a few more. And then bending into your knee, plant your foot to the floor and give your knee a little swish from side to side, nice and slow. You can do the same thing if you're on the chair. Let's take a few hip circles. So really moving through the hip joint in one direction. See if you can sync breath and movement. If you're on the chair, you might need to scooch a little further to the edge of the chair just to allow this movement, or you can come to stand, hold onto the chair and then move through your hip joint. Let's take it in the opposite direction. See if you can relax and soften the muscles around your hip. Notice anything that might be going on there. I've got quite a lot of clicks and crunches and little sore spots. And let's bring the leg back to center. Plant your foot to the floor, swap it over. Left toes reach up or extend your leg out in front. You might hold onto your leg for support and start to wiggle into your toes. Give them all a wiggle, and then see if you can isolate the toes. Little toe, second toe in, third toe in. Takes a lot of concentration. Make sure you're breathing as you do this. Fourth toe in, big toe, all the toes together. And then pointing up towards the ceiling, stretch into the top of the foot, ankle and shin. Imagine you're trying to press your big toe and the ball of your big toe up towards the ceiling. Inhale here, and exhale as you draw your toes back down towards you, and sense that stretching in the back of the leg and ankle, calf, Inhale, toes up towards the ceiling, stretch into the top of the foot and shin. Exhale, draw your toes towards you. Bringing your foot back to stillness, take a breath in to completely extend your leg into the back of the knee, maybe feel your quad engage, and then exhale as you let the heel drop down, releasing the muscles in the quad. Inhale to extend and exhale to bend. Nice and slow, there's no rush. Okay, planting your foot to the floor, give your knee a swish out and then in, moving into the hip joint, releasing any little bits of tension that might have crept in there. And then let's take some hip circles, going in one direction. Taking around 3 to 6. Pausing, taking it in the opposite direction. And then placing your foot back down to the floor. Bringing your hands back behind your head. I'll give you the chair option in a second. Low back pressing into the floor very gently. Take a breath in. Exhale, peel your head and shoulders away from the floor, lift your right foot, bring your left elbow towards your right knee, and we're bringing it into a little twist here. Let's inhale back to center, everything down to the ground. Exhale, left knee, right elbow. Inhale it back to center, exhale it over to the other side. So keep it going, take your time. Try and lead with your chest rather than your chin. If you're on the chair, now I've got a couple of options. You can sit forward and almost like you've got handlebars and very gently twist from side to side, bracing through your core, drawing your belly button inwards and upwards. And you can lift one knee to the elbow as you twist. And on the exhale is when you twist. Okay, so take a few more, about 3 more on each side. And then we can start to bring it all the way back to center. Release the hands behind the head, hug your knees in towards your chest, give yourself a hug. A rock from side to side. And we're going to make our way to a tabletop. So you can rock and roll up and down your spine a couple of times. Just watch out if you've got furniture and chairs. And so a little bit of play, a little bit of fun. Or you can roll to one side and push yourself up. Come to all fours. You can take a standing option with your hands on the chair, a soft bend in your knees. Add any extra padding underneath your knees. And tuck your toes under if you're down on the floor. Get a little extra stretch into the toes and the soles of the feet. Start to send your bum towards your heels. Reach your fingertips a little further to the top of the mat. Lengthen through your arms and the sides of your waist. We're going to take a breath in here. And on your exhale, we're going to lift up through tabletop. Shift forward. Bring your right knee towards your right elbow. They do not need to touch. Push back through to that extended child's pose. Take a breath in. Exhale, forward to the plank, left knee towards left elbow. Inhale, back through extended child's pose. Exhale, right knee to right elbow. Keep it going. The chair variation will be very similar, but we'll be coming back into more of a downward dog variation. Shifting forward, lift up onto the ball of the left foot as you bring the knee forward. So we're still shifting forward into that plank. Obviously the knee will stay lifted rather than down to the ground, and just see where you go with this. Don't worry about bringing the knee all the way up. It might be somewhere down here. That is absolutely fine. And we'll take around 3 more. And let's bring it back into that extended child's pose. We're going to walk our hands back towards us if you're on the floor to get a little stretch into the toes. Make sure your pinky toes are in there as well, so they're not curled back. And you can lean back a little if you want to. If this feels really intense sitting on your heels, you might be here. If you are up on the chair, then send one foot back, almost like you're coming into a lunge, and then bring your knee as if you're coming down towards the ground. So we're stretching the toes and the soles of the foot. Make sure you do both sides, one at a time if you're using the chair. Okay, so from your tabletop, toes tucked under, we're going to see how we go here. Root down through your fingertips and then maybe hover your knees about 1 inch off the floor. You can do this on the tops of your feet, but just be mindful of that. It's quite an intense stretch. So you could always hover one and then the other and just see how that feels. Equally, you can always be up on the chair. Walk your feet back, almost like you're in a tabletop. Knees pointing down towards the ground. You might feel this in your thighs as well as your core and upper body if you're on the chair. Maybe if you're on the ground as well, press the space between the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling. Hold it here. Breathe for 3, for 2, for 1. Knees down to the ground. Extend legs out behind you one at a time, or come into downward facing dog. And give your legs a good pedal out here. If you need to check in with your wrists as well, I invite you to wrist roll. And again, you can always sit back to your heels and get this toe stretch in. Really good building up mobility in your toes and in your ankles. Okay, so from your child's pose, extended child's pose, bum back to heels, reach fingertips forward, take a breath in. On your exhale, we're going to shift forward into that half plank. We're going to bring the right knee forward and we're going to hold it here. Now, if you want to build up a little more intensity, you can lift the left knee away from the floor. Really press the ground away. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And then we're going to step the right foot to the right hand. So you can give it a little helping hand, plant that foot down, maybe hands come up onto blocks to bring the floor to you. Let's take a breath in, reach your arms up, and exhale as you twist to the right. Reach your left fingers forward, right fingers reach back. And you might look back to the right thumb if that feels okay in your balance. You can always look out to the side, or you can look forward. Spread the toes of the front foot. Imagine you're drawing inwards and upwards, so you're drawing your thighs inwards, lifting up through the crown of your head. That chair option, you can always come to sit on the chair. Send the left leg back, right foot forward. Inhale to reach your arms up and exhale into the twist. And you can always hold onto the chair for support. And you can always press through your feet and lift your bum away. Now I've got my left heel pressing against the wall, which has created an extra bit of stability. So I do recommend trying this. Have your chair near to the wall and your heel pressing. You might not be able to see this on camera, but it does create that little bit extra sturdiness. Let's breathe for 3, for 2, and for 1. Take a breath in as you bring it back to center, reach your arms up, and then exhale as you bring your hands back down to floor or blocks. Step the right knee back. Send your bum towards your heels, take a breath in. Exhale as you shift it forward into your plank, left knee towards left elbow. Maybe you lift the right knee away from the floor if you want to create a little more intensity. If you're on the chair, you've still got that same option that we had before, and we're up on the ball of that back foot. Left knee as if it's trying to nestle in towards the armpit, but yeah, it's not going to get there, so don't worry. It's not the goal. And then we're going to step that left foot through to come into our low lunge. Again, if you're on the chair, right leg goes back, left foot stays forward. We take a breath in, reach your arms up, and then we exhale, twist to the left. Right fingers reach forward, left fingers reach back. Same thing if you're on the ground. You can look back, you can look out to the side, you can look forward. So on the ground, back knee, if your back knee, I didn't say this, but if your back knee was lifted, you can lower it down. You can always keep it lifted and come into your twist in a high lunge. So if you do want to explore that, that is always an option. And we'll breathe for 3, for 2, and for 1. Take a breath in as you come back to center, arms up, and then exhale, hands back down to floor or blocks. Step the left knee back to meet the right. We're going to take a moment to rest, big toes to touch, sit your bum back to your heels. You can always sit on a pillow or a blanket for some extra support. You can always come down into a child's pose, maybe rest your forehead to a block, a couple of blocks, a pillow. If you're on the chair, you can come to sit back down and take a moment to rest on the chair. Checking in, noticing how you feel, maybe noticing those areas that may have felt sluggish at the start of the practice, and just noticing if they're still there. It's perfectly normal for them to be there, so let's have a little open mind as we check in. Curiosity, what is going on there? You might notice some areas, that have started to tense up, so as you're resting, you might tune into those areas and bring a little movement in, or even a little bit of massage, or take a deep breath into those areas and exhale, see if you can soften and release the tension. Let's come back through to our tabletop. Take a breath in as you send your bum back towards your heels. Reach your fingertips forward. Exhale as you shift forward into your plank, right knee towards right elbow again, and maybe you lift the left knee. Send it back, bum to heels. Shift it forward on the exhale, left elbow towards, left knee to left elbow. Send it back, bum to heels. And this time let's come forward into our half plank. If you want, you can always lift your knees and find a full plank. And if you're on the chair, walk your feet back a little bit, up on the toes and the balls of the feet, shoulders over wrists, and you've got your plank using a chair. Those on the ground, lower your knees and then start to bend your elbows very, very slowly. Take as many breaths as you need to very, very, very slowly. So we're not holding the breath, we're just breathing in and out, in and out, in and out as we slowly lower all the way to the belly. Hands underneath the shoulders, take a breath in as you lift your chest. Exhale as you wave it down. Take 2 more baby cobras, just like that. If you are using the chair, you can come to stand up, hands by your shoulders. Take a breath in to lift through your chest, lengthen through the front of your body, draw your shoulder blades together, and then exhale to just bring it back to a neutral position. Inhale to open your chest, draw your shoulders back, lift your chin. Exhale back to that neutral position. Pushing yourself all the way up onto all fours, tucking your toes, finding downward facing dog if that is there for you today, or if that is in your practice today. You can always keep your knees down, walk your hands forward towards the top of your mat and lower your forehead. Find a puppy pose. Let's meet back in our tabletop. And we're going to step the right foot forward. Hands up onto blocks or the chair. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. High lunge. Take a breath in as you come up. Exhale as you twist it to the right. Left fingers forward, right fingers reach back. If you are using the chair, you can join us in this high lunge, or again, you can stay seated on your chair and find that support underneath you. But we're going to be coming into a standing posture very shortly. Inhale it back to center, arms up. Exhale, hands to your hips. Straighten a little through that front leg. Let's bump that back foot up and then ground your heel. Just watch out for any blankets that you've got on the mat. So your feet are on 2 lines. Imagine there's a line drawn down your mat and your feet are either side of that line. Right toes facing forward, left toes pointing off at a slight angle. Hands to hips. Take a breath in as you lift through your chest. Find a little length in the front of your body. Exhale as you hinge it forward. Hands stay on hips, draw your elbows towards each other. Find broadness across your chest and you might stay here. You could fold a little more and you could bring your hands down onto blocks. A soft bend in that front knee. Equally, if you've got your chair nearby, you can bring your hands onto the chair, as the chair might be a little bit higher. You could always come down onto forearms, you can let your head hang. And this is your pyramid pose. Stay rooted through that back foot just as much as the front. Ease into your breath. With each exhale, you might fold a little more, or you might stay halfway. Press into that right foot. Let's take a breath in as we come all the way up and bring your hands to your hips. Bend a little into that front leg, and we're going to bring the weight into the right foot. Come to stand with the left knee lifted. Now, if you've got a chair in front of you, you could always have support there. Try and keep the foot lifted. try and keep the knee lifted, but of course blocks and chairs are there, you can always hold the wall. Right hand onto the left knee. Take a breath in, stand tall, maybe reach your left fingers to the sky. You can always stay here facing forward, or on your exhale you could take a twist to the left. So a balance and a twist, quite the challenge. So see how you go. You can always come to the side, you don't need to go all the way. Again, you can always stay facing forward and work on your shoulders, drawing round to the left and just seeing how that feels. Let's bring it back to centre. Take a breath in, hands to heart. Exhale as you set your foot down to the floor, and you can release your hands and give your legs a little shake out. Chair or block in front of you. Root both of your feet down to the floor. Find Tadasana, your mountain pose. Close your eyes or soften your gaze and come back to your breath. I invite you to scan through your body and notice any sensations that are present. Maybe you can feel your heart beating. Maybe you've created a little bit of heat, a little fire in the belly. Noticing if you feel sluggish or if there's a lightness there. And we'll take around 3 to 5 more breaths. Blinking your eyes open. On your next inhale, reach your arms up, maybe gaze up. And then as you exhale, let's fold all the way down, hinge from your hips, bend into your knees. Hands might meet the chair, they might come to a block, they might come to the floor. Step your right foot back, lower your knee down. Step your left foot back, lower the left knee down. Come back to that starting position. Extended child's pose. Bum towards heels, reach your fingertips forward. If you're on the chair, it's that standing variation. Take a breath in. Exhale as you come forward. Let's step the left foot to the left hand. Hands come up onto blocks or chair. We're coming into a high lunge. Tuck the back toes under. Lift your knee. Make sure you find your grounding and your footing before you lift your hands. Feet on 2 lines. When you're ready, I recommend rolling up through your spine and then sweeping your arms up. Some people like to sweep them forwards and up, but I like to be central. I like to find my midline, my central point, and then roll up from there. Equal pressure through both feet or thereabouts. On an exhale, twist it to the left. Reach your right fingers forward, left fingers back. And you can always play around with your arm movements. That back hand could always come to your low back. You could rest the right hand on the left thigh. You can look behind you. You can draw your left shoulder back. Especially if you've got any shoulder things going on, any discomfort issues, or even in your neck as well. So really tuning into what can you feel, what needs to be adjusted. Is it just discomfort, muscle discomfort, and from that, from actually engaging and working, or is it pain? Is it something that you need to come away from? So just deciphering the two. Sometimes we will want to come away from something, even though it's not too bad. It's not too bad for us. Let's take a breath in, come back to center, arms up, and then hands to hips. And we straighten a little through that front leg. We bump that back foot in. You can always hold the wall or chair as you do this. Get your footing, right toes pointing off at an angle, maybe 2 o'clock, thereabouts. Left toes pointing to 12 o'clock. Take a breath in as you lift your chest. Exhale as you fold it forward. Stay rooted through that back foot. So as you start to come forward into that left leg, see if you can bring the awareness into the right leg, the right foot. So maybe hands stay on hips, maybe they come to a chair. I recommend bringing the chair closer to you or you walking closer to the chair rather than trying to reach forward. Make sure your props are nearby, they're to the inside of that front foot. You might let your head hang, crown of head looking down to the floor. So as if you're trying to bring your chin or your nose towards that left shin. Press through the left foot. Let's take a breath in to come all the way up. Hands to hips. Weight comes into the left foot. Bend into that left knee. Start to lift the back heel. See if you can lift the foot and come to stand at the top of the mat with the right knee lifted. And you might take a moment to again readjust yourself. Root down through the left foot. Lift up through the crown of the head. Maybe the left hand comes onto the knee. Remember, these are all options. You can try them, see how you get on. Take or leave what you need. Right fingers reach to the sky as you inhale. Exhale as you twist it to the right and you sweep your fingers back behind you. And one side might feel easier than the other. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Bring it back to center, take a breath in, hands to heart. Exhale as you set the foot down to the ground. Root down through both feet. We're going straight into our little flow. Inhale as you reach your arms up. Exhale as you fold all the way down. Now inhale to lift and lengthen your spine halfway. Slide your hands up to your thighs and draw your shoulder blades towards each other, as if you're really trying to broaden across your chest. Find a little length in the back of your neck. Now you can stay here, we're building up just a little bit of strength in the upper back, or you can reach your arms back behind you, fingertips reaching behind you, like little aeroplane arms. Nice bend, little bend in the knees. So rather than straightening the legs, I recommend bending the knees and bringing a little bit of the weight into the heels. So we're building up strength in the legs at the same time. As you exhale, let's fold. Hands come to floor, chair, blocks, and then we step it back either to downward dog or you can come straight through to a tabletop. If you're in downward dog, have a good pedal out through your legs. If you're in tabletop, take a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling to dip the belly, lift the sit bones, heart draws through. Exhaling to tuck the tailbone under, press the ground away, chin towards chest. You can take a seated version of cat-cow. If you're using the chair, you can take the standing version of downward dog. And we'll take 3 to 5 more breaths. And then let's bring it very slowly back to center. Now those on the chair, you can remain Come to sit on the chair if you're not there already. Plant your feet to the floor and then take your feet a little bit wider and turn your toes out. And then we're going to lean forward as if you're tilting your pelvis forward and draw your shoulders back, so you're really opening up through the front of your body. If you're on the floor, now, big toes to touch, take your knees wide, sit back to your heels. You could, if this hurts your knees, you could place blankets or cushioning behind the backs of your thighs. You can sit up on a couple of blocks in between your feet, blocks, pillows, and take this kneeling position. Then we lean forward, same thing, pelvis tilting slightly forward. We come down onto the fingertips and then we explore turning the fingers out to the sides and then turning the fingers back towards us, lion's pose. So seeing where we go from here. Now, if that really feels uncomfortable to be kneeling, you can come to sit down in any comfortable seat of your choice. It could even be here. We could take the legs a little wider and we lean forward, draw the shoulders back. So just playing around with these positions and seeing what works for you today. I'm going to take that kneeling position for our lion's pose. And this is where we get a little weird and express ourselves. So fingertips pointing back towards us. We draw the heart forward, shoulders back, pelvis tilting forward, and we take sort of this proud lion shape. And then we look up to the third eye. So that space between your eyebrows. Now we're going to take a breathing technique. So if you're sat cross-legged, your hands, don't turn your fingers back towards you, just have your hands wherever feels comfortable. So we take a breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. But we open the mouth, stick out the tongue, look to the third eye. Take a breath in. Exhale. Almost like you're roaring like a lion. Breathe in and out. Let's take two more. In, out. Last one. Close your mouth, close your eyes. You can release from the lion's pose if you were in it. You can lift through the crown of the head, rest your hands wherever feels comfortable. Come back to a more natural breath and just notice how you feel. It's really good for boosting energy, relieving stress, tension, clearing out your throat. It's really good for the throat chakra, your communication. Remember, if anything doesn't feel right for you at any point during a practice, everything is always a suggestion and an invitation to try it. So it's trying things out and seeing how they feel, but not everything is going to feel right for us as individuals. So it's being able to say, no, I don't want to do that. That's not for me today. And seeing if we can practice acceptance and contentment with where we are. We can most certainly develop and grow and work on things, but we can also learn from where we are. If we are constantly disappointed in ourselves or disappointed with our bodies and who we are and where we are, it's a really hard place to grow from. We kind of get trapped in this negative space and this sad space. So if any little bits of self-doubt, criticism, or ego popped up today, I invite you to acknowledge where that came from and what that said to you, and then see if you can rewrite the narrative. It's not always easy. You might even repeat, I accept where I am. In yoga, this practice of contentment is santosha. So one of those personal observances, the personal habits that we can work towards to deepen our spiritual practice, our self-awareness. And it is probably one of the hardest. Let's start to bring a little bit of movement back in. Blink your eyes open. We're going to make our way down to the ground. Almost find our final position to rest. So come down and make sure you've got everything around you that you like to have for final relaxation. And I recommend a blanket or something rolled up into almost like a cylinder shape. And then come to lie down and nestle that cylinder shape, that blanket, underneath your neck. So back of your neck, back of your head is supported. Bend your knees and bring your right knee in towards you. Take hold of it. You can always have a strap or something over the top to help bring it in. And we're going to extend the left leg out in front. Hover the heel, press the low back gently into the floor. If you were on the chair, you might want to do this on your bed. You can always do it from the chair. So again, sit on the very, very edge of your chair, bring your right knee in and let your left leg extend out. Be slight and then lean back a little like we did at the start. Let's take a few more breaths here. Slowly bring the left knee in, extend the right leg out. Relax your jaw, your shoulders. Bring the right knee in, extend the left leg out. And we'll take two more each side. Right leg extends out, left knee in. Taking a few breaths on each side. Swapping it over. Last one on the right leg extends out, left knee in. Last one on this side, right knee in, left leg extends out. Bring the left knee in to meet the right, have a little rock from side to side. And we're going to come into a final position to let the body rest. So make any adjustments, make sure you feel warm. You could stay in constructive rest with your knees bent. Let your knees knock in towards each other, take your feet out a little wider. Or you could always extend your legs and come into traditional Shavasana. Arms down by the sides of your body, palms facing up. And we are creating this space around the body for our prana to flow, our energy, our life force energy that we have expanded through the practice. And invite your body now to feel heavy into the support of the floor. And maybe notice if those areas of sluggishness have lifted. And if there's a lightness there, if you can find any areas of lightness. Get curious, be kind as you check in, and remember that practice of santosha, contentment, acceptance of where you are. can always grow from this place. We can learn, we can change and transform, but with kindness rather than force. If you know that you want to rest for a little while longer, you can always hit pause before you settle down and rest for as long as you need to. I recommend about 10 to 15 minutes. If you're ready to move, start to bring a little bit of movement back to fingers and toes. Start to bend into your knees, or you might want to take a full body stretch. Start to move your body in a way that feels good. Roll over onto one side. Press through that top hand so that you can push yourself up to a comfortable seat. And take a moment to root down through your sit bones. If you want to sit upon some pillows and get yourself comfy here, then please do. Maybe there's a roll of your shoulders there, or a little turn of your head from side to side. And if you wish to join me, bring in your hands into prayer, your heart space. Connect your thumbs to your heart. Scoop up all of this love and gratitude for yourself and for your practice today. Let's take a breath in together and let it out as you bow your head. Bowing down to yourself, to your amazing body, to your mind, to your spirit, everything that makes up who you are. Thank yourself for what your body gave to you today, what it's allowed you to do. And I bow down to you. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to guide you today. Bringing your thumbs up to your third eye, that space of intuition. Remembering that you have all of the knowledge inside you. I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you so much for practicing. Let me know how you get on in the comments section, and I hope you feel a little more alive and ready for spring, a little more energized. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.